looking good. I do find it strange that my iPad keeps going to sleep. Okay. Welcome everyone back to the Darling Project. I'm continuing my work with the Fruiting Body series, but I do have something a little different in store today. I have with me today Jay Ziebert, and she's been a supporter of my work since I was a little kid. And I'm actually here in California right now with her. And she and I have been knocking around some ideas about some collaborations that we want to work on. So we thought today would be just kind of fun to do something a little different, because it's not often that I'm coming from, streaming from a location not at home. And so we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to get to know Jay a little bit. And that way you guys get a chance to kind of get to know her a little bit too before Michael says hi.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike. Before we go into our next collaborations, which I'm very, very excited about. So, yeah, I'm gonna continue to work on this too, because I'm gonna start working at these little details. If I can get this done today, I will be very pleased. So, Jay, let's talk about what happened when I first tried to say what your name was. So I made the mistake of using a name that Jay doesn't use anymore, and it's just something I've always seen her as, because I've known Jay most of my life. And it's such a weird thing to like have this view of who you are, or at least who I thought of you as, and now you're going with a different name, slightly different. It totally suits you. Jay is you. But it's just something it doesn't roll off my tongue as easily or as quickly when I'm introducing you, weirdly enough. Because if it's just you and I, like I say Jay.
You do.
It does.
You do, almost invariably. Yeah.
Almost all the time.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when I'm like, this is, it's like I want to say that other name. That's not who you are. So, why?
So, it's interesting because, I've always had nicknames. I've always had nicknames ever since I started school. People have almost never called me my name. And I've actually really never liked my name. A lot of people like my name. A lot of kids are named this name. My first nickname was Pinky, so I, didn't decide to keep that one, but...
I won't use that against you.
My name is Jessica. That is what is on my birth certificate. And at one time, I think it did suit me. But we grow and evolve. It wasn't my intention to change my name. Actually, it was a practical reason that it was changed for, because so many young kids were named Jessica. And so I ended up working in a hospital setting with another Jessica. And, my manager at the time said,
"That's great.
What do other people call you?" And I say, well, I have a lot of nicknames, but a lot of times people call me Jay, not Pinky. And it just sort of stuck. And so my business cards were Jay, my email was Jay, and everyone in the business knew me as Jay. And my work is my life. So for the most part.
We're going to explore that in a minute too. I think it's interesting because like some people, like I can't really relate to having gone through a name change like that, except for obviously when being married or things like that, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But like, yeah, I know I've never had to do that, but I can imagine, like I have a friend who, transitioned, right? Who went through that, and you do not say that name, and that's legit.
Right? I too had a friend transition, and I was there during their transition. And it was definitely a sensitive issue. They knew, though, that the people that loved them, if they slipped up, it wasn't meant with malice.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the person that slipped up felt really terrible about it. And I don't equate my name change with that. That's different. Mm-hmm. But it is a transition of sorts that I've gone through.
It's a shift in your identity.
It's an evolution of who I am, which everybody goes through.
Right.
But we were just discussing it right before we got started here. And the thing is that name, Jessica, or Jess is what a lot of people called me when I was young,
Yeah.
brings me back to a different version of myself in my head. It actually transports me in time to this other version of myself, which is not who I am. She's not a terrible person. She's just not me anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And I like Jay. Jay is a name that keeps people guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I get that a lot.
Totally. Right? I get that too with my name.
Yeah.
People never know if I'm a guy or a girl.
Exactly.
And I kind of like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like it suits me better.
Yeah. I think it actually does too. It really does. And it's funny because Jessica's a beautiful name.
Sure.
It totally is a beautiful name. But I feel like the fire that's you, the like tenacity and endurance and like
Aw.
pit bulliness is totally a J. You need to represent
Maybe,
both
yeah.
of those things.
Yeah.
I resemble that remark. But it's true though. Like it's nice to be named and really feel like your name belongs to you.
Yeah.
And you are that name. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, that's really cool. I read a study once about how names influence our personality growth, like how we evolve.
I always think
hear
about
about
that. Yes, because if you think about I don't know, all of the Vickies that you know, or you think about all of the
Vicky.
the Freds that you
Vicky.
know, or like whatever it is, like
Yeah.
random names you think about.
Yeah.
There's sometimes is a personality or a, I don't know, some sort of generalizations that seem
You
to
sort of
be
make
attached.
right now, right?
Yeah.
It's like anytime I meet a John,
Right.
right?
Huge.
Right.
Exactly.
It's so weird, but like every single John I've ever known.
Right.
That sounds so bad, but you know what I mean. Every single John I've ever known, I'm like, oh, we're not going to be friends, and that's sad because that's
Yes.
not necessarily accurate. Or
It's not
necessarily
representative
true,
of
right?
all of them. Absolutely
It's not.
not.
Of course not. But like, I can't help it. Like, I immediately think, oh, I don't know about that one. I don't know.
You think about like childhood bullies, their names, and you associate with that.
Absolutely. That's it. Actually, I would say even just J names in general,
Yeah.
which is weird because you're a J.
Yeah.
But you're breaking the mold. You're breaking the mold.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's my goal, to break that mold.
I actually got job interviews because of my name.
Well, it's a beautiful and very unique name. Although I do know a couple of Micahs, they're men or males.
Yeah.
And I don't know any other female Micahs.
Yeah. I've only met one female Micah, and she was 10 years old, and it was in a chapters, and I heard the mother go, "Micah, get over here!" And I jumped so fast because I had not been spoken to in that way in some time, and I was like, "What did I do?" Yeah, she was just calling for her kiddo, and it was a little girl, and I was like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, it's always guys. But that's how come I've gotten job interviews. I literally have gone to job interviews, and they do the look up down thing, and then they're like, "You're a girl.
I like
Can you lift?" Well, I can lift so hard you don't even know. But like seriously, I've gotten jobs because of it. And
It's so interesting.
I was actually just watching a video yesterday on like TikTok or somewhere, Instagram, I can't remember. And they were talking about how they're doing these new studies now for where you can pre-test embryos to see which ones are going to be the most healthy or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like where you can figure this out. Anyway, I don't know. And they had this one couple had decided on a particular embryo to be their baby. And it had grown, and she was holding it in this little front carrier thing. But they had called their baby Titan.
Titan.
Because, little girl,
Okay.
because they thought that a name with power is really important.
Okay.
And I just thought that was so interesting.
It
They
is.
had gone through this like excruciating, this very scientific approach to reproduction.
And then they went.
Yes.
It's
The other way,
interesting.
right? I just thought that was so interesting, and they talked about how your name can really influence how you develop, and there's some truth to it. I don't know why, but there's some of that.
Well, I think part of it too is the societal reaction to your name too.
Exactly,
if your name
connotation
is
of your name,
is
potentially.
Joaquin Phoenix or whatever, then you know you're going to potentially be seen. If your name is Sunflower Moonchild, then you know, right? Exactly. Then
Right.
you're going to be potentially kind of
Possibly.
scooted in certain directions.
Immediately people will be like, "Oh, that's a hippie." You know,
Right.
I hate that that's a thing, but that's
That
kind
is
of a thing.
it's a kind of a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was funny though, Titan.
I like it.
It's
I like
pretty
it. That's kind of
badass,
fun.
actually. Like, I don't know. One of one of my best friends growing up, she named her child Logan, and I love that name.
It's a good
love
name.
that name, but like I would never have thought of that for a girl. I just wouldn't have. But now that I have seen it as a girl with a girl, and with a girl, I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
It's awesome.
It's her.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just interesting names in general. But anyways, that was a tangent. So I like the idea though of changing your name after you go through something. Like you become something more than what you were, and then you have a name for that. I know one other person who's done that actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually is a neighbor of mine, and she has had, I think we counted them once. She had 8 different names at one point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which have represented different parts of her life, where she legitimately changes her name.
Wow. Like goes through the whole process and the paperwork and everything.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I have not done that, but yeah, that's impressive.
Well, and I've been struggling with my own name, right? Because Darlington is associated with, some things I don't want to be associated with anymore.
Right.
But just like my maiden name isn't either.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like, what do I do? Do I break away and like create my own? Right? And I don't necessarily want to be my mother's name either.
Right.
Right? Like, so.
What do you do?
It's a good question. I don't know. And it's like I'm considering just making my own little name. I don't know anymore. I just know that whatever I do decide to do, it will be mine and it will stay mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't want to put myself through that again. And especially doing what I do, this.
Yeah. You want to
I want to
keep.
be able to, exactly. I want to keep it. It's mine.
It's like, yeah, doctors do and whatnot.
Well,
Teachers.
I don't know if I agree necessarily with the whole like combining of names too. I mean that's fine, I guess, if it
Yeah.
But like I was talking to somebody, I think it was the last stream, we were talking about how kids should be allowed to pick the name, when you grow up. It was just an idea I had.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have a combined name parent, or even if you don't, you could take your mom's name or your dad's name. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know why we're talking about names so much. I'm really into this thought process right now. Coloring petals on flowers. Anyway. But yeah, so I'm going to ask you some more questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready for it.
Okay, cool. When my phone stops acting like a butt light. Okay. So, you're in the process of moving right now.
Well, it's the very beginning process of potentially moving. Yes.
Potentially moving. Yes.
Yes.
Potentially moving.
We accepted an offer on our home this evening, and it's a very short escrow, and so this is going to be
that word again.
potentially very rapid change to an entirely new environment, which is really going to be strange because we have been here for 19 years. And yeah,
it's a lifetime.
It is. It's a long time. Yeah, so that's why we're together, because I need a little physical and emotional backup, and
I got you, girl.
You're here for that. Thank you.
Hell yeah, I am. Also, you had me at California. So. No, I'm just kidding. I would have been here no matter what. But I love kids. There's something about California, man.
It's not so bad.
It's pretty fantabulous. I'm kind of into it. But no, I'm here for that.
I know.
And I'm glad that you guys are going through this. This is a huge shift. I can't even imagine moving somewhere, having lived one place for 18 years. To me, that's like, I think that I try to think about how long I've ever lived in one place for, like the longest I think I've ever lived in one place is 6 years. For me.
Right.
Which means 18 years is literally a lifetime.
It's interesting. It's interesting because, never been able to tally how many times we moved as a child. I've tried multiple times. I've never been able to count it up. We moved 5 times in the first several years of marriage. And then all of a sudden we find this place, and it's a beautiful place. And just
it is beautiful here.
Easily past 19 years in this place after moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. So it's interesting. So it's really bittersweet moving away from it.
Right, of course. It's like where you thought you'd always be too, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you don't move into a place like this and you're like, I'll be here for a year or two. You know what I mean?
No, we used to joke that we would retire here all the time.
Crazy how life...
long before we were even remotely thinking about that.
Right. What a wild... It's weird how life can just completely derail you, all your plans. It doesn't matter how much you plan.
Yeah.
Or how much you predict. You think you can predict things. It just can completely be like, joke's on you.
Exactly.
You're like, I don't understand. Why? Sometimes submitting to that process isn't so easy.
No.
You think you know where I'm going to take this, don't you?
Yes.
Oh, submission. No, don't submit. But you know
Surrender.
What I mean? Surrender is probably a better word. Submission comes with so much
connotation.
Oh my God.
Stop
it. Oh my God. We've been doing that since I've been here. We keep doing that.
It's freaky.
It's fucking crazy. Oh my gosh. Yay for the offer, Michael says.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, it's been a trip.
It has.
It's so exciting to think about where to go next. Like
I'm all about the adventure. Yes,
yeah.
I always kind of liked moving. Starting fresh, right? And
when you get used to it, it's just
redesigning your space and figuring out where, imagining all the different ways you can live in that space, and it's kind of beautiful. We're really excited. We're gonna go look at a couple houses tomorrow, and we're gonna go imagine lives in those houses and see if we can make it fit and work.
I love that kind of stuff. I'm gonna be like, can I move in with you?
Yeah, this is Micah's space. Here's where your art stuff goes.
I mean, I think I have some people who might object to that. But it's
you
hard.
can come visit.
Yeah, she's talking to you, Mike. But yeah, no, it is very exciting to like imagine a space and be like, this is where my husband will be, or my partner, or my dog, or my garden, or
exactly,
et cetera. That's friggin' awesome.
It is.
It's so fun to do. That you have even that opportunity to be able to do that. It's like
so
fortunate. Let's
fortunate.
not forget like how incredibly lucky we are.
Exactly.
That we get to be like, hey, I get to go into a new home. Especially because I was just having that intense conversation was it today? About houselessness?
Houselessness,
and
yeah.
How, it's an interesting conversation. And, anyways, that's a whole other thing. I could go on, but I won't. It's just an interesting...
You know what? I would like to say something, though, about that.
Yeah, do.
So, this has been a stressful process. It's been very stressful, which is, again, why Micah is here, partly. And
it's not for my cooking, that's for sure.
Oh, your cooking is lovely.
No, thanks.
We, part of our goal with this is to get out of the trap, and we are fortunate enough that we, became adults in a time where we could become enmeshed in the trap, and these young kids these days don't have as the same kind of opportunities. So we're hoping, to free ourselves of this, growing snowball of debt and stress and all that kind of stuff, and kind of give ourselves a little bit of freedom and a little space. But it's a weird thing. It's not the standard thing to do. And so, we're getting a little bit of eyebrow raise and what are you doing and why are you doing that? And some people get it immediately, but others are like, that's the wrong way. You're supposed to buy a bigger house. You're supposed to go and, and that's not what we want. And so I'm excited about the possibility and stressed about it. So stressed, but it should be, it'll be a very interesting adventure either way.
It is. And the thing is about what people say.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Don't live your life like that. You're going to be so miserable. normal.
Exactly.
But, you know, taking a step outside of the norm and saying, I don't want to live the way that society tells me I have to live, or the way that I'm expected to behave,
Exactly.
is beautiful. And we need more, frankly, we do need more of that. We need more people setting those examples too, you know?
Yep.
Like, I personally have no problem living in a tiny house somewhere. You know what I mean? Or like living on the road would be fine too. But I think maybe a part that comes from being comfortable moving a lot.
Yeah.
Right? You get that kind of almost...
It's nomadic. You're a nomadic creature.
That was the word I was looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where you just kind of get comfortable. Your home is where you hang your hat, sort of thing. And oddly comfortable. It's a sort of a weird thing to be in one place, honestly.
Right.
For long periods of time. But I don't know. I think that the idea of like having to buy the house and having to have this certain job and having to have a certain relationship or having to have a certain amount of children or having all those expectations,
it's what creates misery. It really does.
Yeah.
Because I know lots of people that had children only because they were expected to. How is that a good thing?
Yeah.
It's not. And you know, becoming more and more enmeshed in debt is the norm because that's what keeps you working. That's what keeps you part of, you know, that's what keeps you a cog in the machine. And I don't want to be a cog.
I don't want to be a cog. I don't want to be a pirate. That's an old reference. Good old Seinfeld. But no, I think the getting away from being a cog thing I can relate to profoundly, both just as an artist, but also as just a part of this incredibly toxic society that we live in, where we are treated like batteries, where we're like, go through this, go through that, jump here, jump there. Just the process of seeing what you've had to go through with paperwork is like...
The paperwork is immense.
Paperwork is insane. Excuse me. Like, especially, I know that in particular with California, it's nasty.
California is a little bit special that way. The offer letter, it used to be just a letter, and this one was 55 pages.
Yeah, that's right.
55 pages just for the offer.
Like,
it's crazy.
You really get trapped in the system where it's like, okay, you have to have a lawyer to even read that stuff.
Right.
Which is another cost.
Mm-hmm. And it's another way, it's another hook. It's another way to keep you in the system.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Can you guys hear okay even with this music on? It seems quiet enough that I don't want it to be like imposing in moments, but I think it's like a trap. It's a system.
It's a trap
for sure. Yeah. So they're like, jump here, do this.
It's a way to keep you, you know, busy and head down and doing your work.
Just do the work. Put your head down. Keep going.
Exactly.
You know? Yep. That's how it's supposed to be, right?
Yep.
But I don't know that I think it's just something that we all kind of fell into, you know, because it's like an abusive relationship. You know, at first it doesn't start out like that. You're like, oh, I'll just get this job and I'll just do this and I'll earn this. And
you seem really nice.
You seem so nice. Yeah, it's just there's no red flags here.
No.
And then suddenly it's you've got to have this loan to get this thing, or you've got to have this line of credit for this, or you know, and then suddenly it's in bills and bills and bills. Next thing you know,
credit cards and car payments and
it's all of it.
Saving for university and all the things.
These documentaries on Netflix where they're like, I said goodbye to it all, you know. And what is it, the monk who sold his Ferrari? You remember that book? Like, there's all these kinds of books that come out that are like, I walked away from it all to do this new way of life, and you think, oh, only rich people can do that, but it's actually not true. I mean, you can. It's some of that, and there's some of not.
Absolutely. I mean, it's this struggle between having your basic needs met, and what is it that you really would like to do with your life, and what do you feel is driving you in terms of expectations. Expectations cause misery. I'm a firm believer in that. I learned that in the last couple of years, and that is really, really Is it a little bit loud?
Yeah, it was a little loud. That's good.
Yeah, it's really our expectations of others expectations of us. It's just a perpetual cycle of misery.
I feel like you're talking to me directly right now. Like, you're calling me out a little bit, because I just went through this myself, where it's this, like, you know, holding up you're shining a light on me right now, I feel like. And that's totally legit. Like, I do. I have my expectations ruin me. They really do. But also like learning that what expectations are reasonable.
Right.
And trying to figure out where I sit, like in the middle of all of that. Like,
well, and there's a difference between, like when we're talking about interpersonal relationships, there's a difference between expectations, as in, I expect you to treat me this way and do all of this stuff and bring me flowers every week and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a difference between that and I have these needs and I need to be treated this way. Boundaries and expectations are not the same thing. Boundaries are.
I see what you're saying.
There's a certain bubble of, no, these are my needs, and if you can't meet those needs, then this relationship is not going to work.
Right.
But expectations, as in,
this is what I need. Okay, so carry on. Sorry,
so like I think about it in terms of a new husband and wife, or a new couple of some sort, and the one partner thinks, well, this person is going to look after me, and the other thinks, well, this person is going to look after me, and might be different ways, but their thoughts about how they expect their partner to behave, whether that's by historical example or whatever, that's going to really cause problems in that relationship, because she is not your mother or whatever, right? I mean, you've got to realize that we're all individuals, and what we feel like you should be like has absolutely nothing to do with you. That's totally an us problem.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was listening to is it Mel Robbins?
Yeah,
Mel Robbins. She's awesome. She's amazing. And she was talking about how I felt so attacked. She posted this thing, I think it was just today or maybe it was yesterday, talking about how she looked in the camera and she was like, you stop expecting other people to meet your expectations, or something to that effect. And I was just like, oh, okay. But like, it's seriously, it's hard, because you think you know somebody.
True.
You don't know people.
You don't.
You don't know people.
You don't.
You don't know crap,
Yeah.
You want to know, but you might not. And chances are you don't, because we all put up a facade of some kind.
Yep.
And the idea that they can... But, I'm speaking specifically about a certain somebody.
Yeah.
And for me, I thought that they did know me well enough.
Right.
I thought that we were at that point in our relationship where it was pretty clear that, what was what. And I was wrong. Boy, was I wrong. And, I have to be okay with that. That's on me, because I can't control that person.
No.
You know what I mean?
But there's a certain grieving process when you let go of those expectations. It's like if you have a really good relationship with a parent, and you suddenly realize, oh my gosh, they're human and they're flawed and they make mistakes. Right. I mean, there's a grieving process that's associated with that.
Yeah, that's true. And then there's I don't know how we went from houses to relationships, but like
same thing.
Expectations though. It's that thing of expectations, and that's what it's funny, because you're prompting me or encouraging me through this experience that I'm having interpersonally with someone. Mm-hmm. But I'm prompting you through the same thing, but like with your house.
Exactly.
Where it's
exactly.
Like, you don't know what's going to happen. You got to let it go. Trying to ground you in the present, because that's where you should be.
Exactly.
And it's hard. It's hard when the world's going, yeah, but look over here.
Well, and you should have, and those are those expectations again. When you sell your home, it'll sell right away, because everyone else's house sold right away. If you if you buy a cabin, it's going to be a super cute cabin. It's going to have all the things, and it's going to be
Instagram worthy.
Yeah, it's going to be perfect, and it's going to be right next to my aunt, so I can visit you, and like all the things, right? Like there's a lot of people have expectations about it, or thoughts about it, or perspectives, and the truth is the process is, and that's it.
Yeah. Damn it. I was like, you caught me with that one where I'm like, yeah, it's what? It's waiting. I was totally waiting for that next bit. You got me. No, it's totally true. God damn it.
Well, that's what you've been helping me to stay present and just let the process happen, because, I might have continuing control issues in terms of what I believe that I can control in my life, which is, I'm learning, is very little.
And that realization strikes, hey?
It does.
It's like when you go to school and you realize, oh my God, I know nothing.
Exactly.
I really don't know anything.
And the more that you know, the more that you realize you have no idea.
Yeah, you don't know.
No idea.
It's almost depressing, but I actually find a little bit of freedom in it.
It is.
Because you don't have to pretend anymore.
You don't have to
Just
know
go,
everything,
I
because
don't
it's
know
impossible. Exactly.
Let's find out together.
Yes.
That's something I really enjoyed about teaching, actually.
Yeah.
You did too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jay actually offers all kinds of cool stuff. She's got, if you want to check her out, she's at you go ahead, you do it. My brain is fried.
It's PB4 FOR Life, LIFE, PB4life.com.
Right. And it's a really great place to go and check out alternative ways of eating and getting nutrition, fueling your body. Jay's a plant-based nutritionist, and she offers all kinds of amazing supports for people who are struggling with all kinds of, who just want to change their life, or maybe you have a specific problem that you're trying to deal with. You know, it can range from anything from, I don't know, what have you dealt with? People with diabetes.
Yep. So, I mean, I've had everything from, teenagers that just discovered that they have prediabetes, to mamas and babies, bringing babies into the world in the best way we can, all the way up to an 88-year-old who is like, I'm ready to make some changes, and everything in between. So yeah,
that's cool.
We have a lot of control over our health, and really what that means is happiness. That's not about dress sizes or whatnot. It's about quality of life.
Right. It's not always about the weight loss.
Exactly.
Which is what we hear so much
We
of.
get so focused on that.
And it's a really kind of an illness in our society.
It is, along with our protein obsession.
Yes, that's right. Preach. But you guys, if you do want to go and check out some alternative ways, so you can definitely go and check her out. She's on Instagram as well. I think it's the same, right?
Yeah, at PP for Life J, I think it is.
Cool. But yeah, no, it's that idea of like submitting to the whole process, and I think you probably talk about that a lot, even with your clients.
A lot. Okay. And enjoying the process, getting into it, getting up to your elbows into it, and being present in the process, which is a lot of what we've been talking about for me during this process. Because if you're waiting for a number on a scale, or cholesterol number, or your A1C number, or whatever it is, before you get to be happy, you're missing it.
Sale.
Exactly. You're missing it, because it's not always fun. It's not always, it can be a little hard, but if you're not in it, if you're not paying attention, if you're not staying present, you're not living.
You're not living, exactly. And that's the thing, is we don't know what the future is. You know, I actually just had this conversation with a certain man, and like where we talked about, what it means to be present, to like, because you just don't know. You really don't know what the future holds. And like the idea of being so caught up in what ifs or whens is, you can miss your whole life. And
you have absolutely no idea if any of that will happen. Any of it. So why are you mired in something? Right. You're missing it.
Yeah, you're missing it. I always think about that. Do you ever watch Hook? That's an old.
Like
Hook,
Peter Pan?
Peter Pan Hook.
I have seen it a long time ago.
Right. It's like one of my favorite movies ever.
So
and every time I get sick, I watch that movie.
Oh.
But there's a scene in it where the mother says to Peter, you're missing it. Your children are going to grow up and you're missing it, right? Mm-hmm. And he's so strung out. They're being so loud. They're being so irritating. And
right.
But that, even as a little kid, that struck me as like kind of profound. I was a deep thinking weirdo kid. But, it's true. Where, if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
You're going to miss all this amazing crap that happens that maybe sucks, but like, it makes you. It's your life.
I had a conversation with a gentleman today myself. He's reading this book by Bruce Springsteen, And he traveled a lot, and one of the things he wanted to make sure of was to stay connected to his kids. And he was so used to the rock and roll life where you stay up late and sleep in. His wife was like, "You are missing the best time with your kids." And she's like, "In the morning, get up and make them breakfast." Right. And that changed everything for him. It's those little details in our life that we take for granted, or we don't realize how important they can be.
Yeah, for sure.
How much life can be lived there.
Yeah, and what, like, isn't that the truth, hey?
Yep.
How much life can be lived, even in the tough stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because if you're looking at what you don't have and what you're unhappy about not getting, or what you're looking too far into the future, but I'll be happy when, that sort of thing. That's like, that's just a recipe for being unhappy.
You'll never get there. Right,
you'll never get there, and that's just it. Like, I remember learning about Nirvana, and they were talking about how, like, even if humans ever did reach Nirvana, which some people have claimed they have, and certain Tibetan monks or whatever have claimed that maybe they have, who knows, but they say that it's anybody who actually hit Nirvana would be like, this is so boring. Like, now I'm unhappy because I'm bored. Like, there would always be this like, it's like the human condition to be discontented with the present, and I think maybe that is Nirvana.
Yeah.
To find true peace in the moment.
Now. Yes, exactly.
Because I don't really think that Nirvana is somewhere you go to, or that you get to, or you graduate to, or, you know what I mean? I think it's tied closer to self-actualization and being present in the moment.
I love that.
Right?
There's this wild theory that I heard from somewhere. I can't even remember where it was, but basically it was that what if we as souls we had a look at what our possible life paths were, and we chose one. Like, what would you choose if you could? Some of us have been through some pretty rough stuff, and what would you choose to experience just to have the experience?
Mike says Mark Twain said something similar with heaven, not necessarily in spirit, but I think it works.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you choose? You remind me of that poem by just on the tip of my tongue. She talks about, maybe you'll recognize it if I talk about it, and maybe somebody in chat will recognize it too and can call it out for what it is. But it's a woman. She talks about being in this tree, and she sees her life on all these options in front of her. She's sitting in the tree, and the branches are going off in every direction. There's figs, there's fruit here, and there's fruit there, and all these places that she could go, that she could go.
Right.
But she becomes so overwhelmed with all the choices that she just withers away and never makes a choice. And it's just
it's heartbreaking.
My heart just tears apart because I've never related to anything so much. Like, on the one hand, it's like, oh, look at my privilege.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, I kind of I get that. I mean, it's hard when you feel so pulled by a lot of different interests, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I could go that way, but I could also do this, and you can make a decision and make something happen to a certain extent, right?
Something is going to happen if you make a decision. One of my favorite quotes is not making a decision is making a decision. Yeah.
Fuck, that's so true.
Yeah.
You listening, voters? I'm calling you out. It's true, though.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And analysis paralysis gets us in a lot of different ways. In what I do, actually, it's a big thing. I'm constantly checking in, going, if you're feeling at all overwhelmed, because what happens with overwhelm, overthinking, or whatever over you might be living in,
whatever over. I like that. That's good.
It is 2 feet on the brakes. That's what happens when we feel like, it's too much. I don't know what to do.
Right.
So sometimes you just got to go for it and see what happens.
Right. Over something. Overwhelm. Overthinking. And I'm thinking about all the overs I do. I think that, maybe the idea of just, when I first started learning about mindfulness and, practicing being present and practicing being a part of present life, it was like it was described to me as being like standing behind a waterfall, right? And your thoughts are the waterfall. Your thoughts, all your worries, everything that you associate with you but isn't really you,
right,
are just kind of passing over you. And you're like, oh, look at that. I have to take out the garbage, and I have to prepare for that, and I have to do this, and I don't forget to, call that behaviorist about your crazy dog, or whatever it is. That's oddly specific, I know, but it's a real thing. And then suddenly you realize, but I'm not those things, and those are all things I've got to do or I've got to deal with. But right now, it's okay to just let those go. And when you're not used to being in the moment and letting those things go, it feels bad. It feels guilty.
Stop it.
Stop.
Yes,
it
does.
Real, it does.
It does.
It feels bad, and you're like, how can I let this go? It feels like if it feels bad, I shouldn't do it, right?
Right. No, you need to sit with that, because that is something that's been conditioned into you. That's not real. That's not real.
Right. Boy, we're solving all the problems.
I know. I hope lots of people are listening.
No.
Darn it.
One. I don't know. But it is really, it's a valid conversation. And I think right now, especially when you are going through it right now.
Yeah.
It's totally real. Like it's very, I don't know, something about being in moments where you're going through crazy stuff. Sometimes it's kind of awesome because you have a direct line to your youest you.
Yeah, for sure. Youest you. I like
your
that.
youest you. Because you're like, yeah, I'm a mess, but I'm also tenacious. I'm also strong. I'm also...
It's clarifying in a way.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, there's no BS anymore. There's no fake smiles. It's just... Here we go.
Yep.
Let's go. You hear that me, myself, and music going on in the back of your head, and you're like, let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of love that, though.
It is. It's really, really good. It's really good. And these kind of experiences, we tend to, our human... The motivational triad, right, is to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve, right? That's our human motivational triad.
Yeah.
And so we're avoiding pain all the time, but sometimes the pain is so unbelievably valuable.
Right. It's like when you take Tylenol, but really it's kind of bad to do because then you overuse whatever it is that you're trying to mask the pain as. Like you actually do need that pain feedback so that you're gentler with whatever it is.
Your body's trying to tell you something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like it's okay to help, but you still have to be mindful that you can actually hurt yourself.
Exactly. And for people like us who are just natural teachers, also who have done that for jobs, that is valuable. That is incredibly valuable to go through something incredibly whatever, a lot, and then be able to take that experience with you and say, look, I get it.
Yeah. But
it's still worth, living in the moment. It's still worth sitting through that pain. It's still worth making the effort. It's still worth it.
It's still worth it. I think sometimes we forget. Yeah, that's a really good point. Oh, my feels. It's true though. Like sometimes you're like, oh, I can't take anymore.
Right.
And then you're like, wait, yes I can.
You're like, oh man, I can.
Yeah, it's tough. But you do find out the roots of who you are.
Yep.
And how much more you're capable of. And it's also kind of like when you look at who's there too. Who's there.
Yep.
And who can. Sorry, my mom just texted me something that my little brother drew. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I think I'm influencing him. Oh, it's so funny what he said about politics. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, I completely lost track of my thought. But the idea, I think, when you that's what I was going to say. When you go through enough crap, and it's like, okay, my bucket is full. You think your oops, I smacked my cam. You think your limit is like here, but you find out it's like so much more.
Yes. Yes.
You're like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. Like I used to say, I don't have children, as you know, and living that
child-free life.
And for a long time I was anyway. And now I'm like, well, yeah, maybe having a kid might not be as scary as it would have been at one time in my life, or because I used to think, oh my God, what if I had a kid and it was like my Dad or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I can't do that. But now
Yeah.
I'm like, but maybe though, maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
Maybe. A lot of the things I'm like, anyways, I'm going on a tangent here. Shut me up.
No, I think it's one of the things that going through stuff does for you is it really clarifies. For those of us who cough are overthinkers, talking to you two people in the room right now, it is, we can talk ourselves out of really wonderful things too, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm doing that all the time.
And you can, we also can build up because we're driven, because we're smart, because we want to impact the world in positive ways. We want to shake things up a little. We can have these crazy expectations of ourselves. There's that flippin' word again.
Expectations or flipping?
Let's do both.
Such vile language we use here.
So really it is, like you were saying, you're like, oh, I can't do anymore. But what happens is you just get rid of the stuff that means nothing.
Yeah,
and you
that's
just
so
keep
true.
you
Good
just
choice.
keep the stuff.
I mean, good explanation, right? You suddenly realize, it's like going through your home after when you're moving.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I don't actually use that in like 6 years.
Do I still have that?
Why do I even have that?
Yeah.
I should get rid of that. And then suddenly you have room for
Other
something
good stuff.
completely better.
Yeah.
And I went through that with my mom too, when we moved her and I moved me, and oh my God, all the stuff in between.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, I remember saying to her, like, you have to make a choice here. You either have all your Tupperware or you've got room for people in your life. This is what it is.
Tupperware people, choose.
Tupperware or people. And I know so many people who would choose the Tupperware.
Yeah.
But like, she didn't though. Like, good on her. You know? That's a tough thing to do. So, mad respect for my mom. But it's true though. You're right.
Yes. Now that we've solved the world's problems.
Yeah. Go on. No, but like, it's true though. Going through a move. There's nothing like going through a move to pull you into a personal growth, or launch you into a personal growth thing that you did not want, didn't ask for, and didn't
not like
expect.
I don't have enough going on without some personal growth thrown in there.
Hey, let's do this, because you don't have enough character already.
I thought I was charactered out. I guess not.
No, apparently not.
Nope.
But like, I think that one day that bucket, I don't know, do you think that bucket will ever actually be full?
No.
I don't know either.
No. I hope not. I hope not. I have this analogy that I use all the time, and that is, if you're not moving forward, you're either moving backward. You're either moving forward or you're moving backward. If you are standing still, you are sinking. You're sinking in quicksand. You've got to keep moving. You either move forward or you move backward. I prefer people do not do that, but sometimes we do. Just keep moving. Keep moving, because in that is evolution and growth.
But sometimes moving looks like standing still.
Sometimes it does. Rest is just as important as work, but that's an intentional decision. That's not paralysis. That's not what people call laziness, which is not a real thing.
Wait, what?
Everyone is lazy. Every single person in the universe is lazy. I will go back to the motivational triad. We seek pleasure, we avoid pain, and we conserve. Conserving is part of our survival, which means rest is just as important as everything else that we do.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah, you're talking about that sleep stuff that I really need to listen to.
That is some good stuff. Yeah.
That is tough though. Especially in our society, in our culture, where it's like, you're tired? Good, you're doing it right. Sleep when you're dead. That sort of mentality of like, go, 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 go.
Well, the other thing is people will say, oh, I can't do it because I'm lazy. I don't exercise because I'm lazy. I don't read books because I'm lazy. That's not laziness. That is your body's natural instinct to survive. We do have to be a little bit uncomfortable in order to grow, but you still need the rest. You still need to realize that is all of us. All of us are lazy. Mm-hmm. We all are. It's a part of our core being. So there's no such thing as laziness, and it doesn't exist.
That we're all exhausted.
Well, that's part of it. Right. I'm really talking about two different things here. I'm talking about our natural state, which is as conservation beings, And I'm also talking about don't forget to rest, because you're not doing anyone any favors if you don't.
No.
Did you know that you can die sooner from lack of sleep than lack of food?
Yeah, I read that, and that freaked me right out.
Right?
Yeah.
Sleep is more important than food.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Crazy. But I used to, so when I struggle with insomnia, and sometimes my insomnia would be so bad, like I'll be lucky to get a few hours of sleep at night. And sometimes, especially when that's gone on for weeks, it's like I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Yes.
And I can't help, like it's like I'm hungrier and I eat worse, like, and I'm shorter. My mental health goes right down the tank. It's just a gong show. And then I suddenly get some good sleep and I'm like, whoa! It's like waking up, jumping out of into a nice cold lake. You're just suddenly alive again. And you're like, holy fork! But I think it's not a joke. Like,
no, it isn't. It isn't.
Get some good sleep, because it's kind of terrifying what happens when you don't, and how quickly you could start hallucinating. Oh my gosh, I've had some crazy experiences with sleep deprivation hallucinations.
It's there are actual physiological changes when you don't sleep. And the more you don't sleep, and it's not very much time has to pass for there to be effects. Your hormones change, the way that you think changes, the signals to your brain are different. Everything becomes a little bit more primitive. And then you're actually, you're trying to survive.
Brain, right?
You're just trying to survive.
Right.
And for me, it manifests as weird vibrations, and I feel like my whole body is one big heartbeat.
It's one heartbeat.
Yeah. And vision goes, and cognition goes, and it can go downhill quickly. Now, if you're somebody that has trouble sleeping, what we're saying can actually cause more problems. So what you need to do is go look up sleep hygiene and start trying some things. And I know I had problems with sleep as well, and I've actually said this to a dear friend who I trust very, very much with health. I've tried everything. And she's like, I know that's just your sleep deprivation talking. There is more to try. There's lots of things to try.
Yeah. It starts to feel a little bit it's a bit defeating.
It is.
Especially if you feel like you're fighting it on your own.
It is.
But no, that's really good information. Yeah. It's crazy to think about, like, how we cannot disregard, like, because coming from the health industry as I have, my background in exercise and nutrition, that was not that wasn't even on the radar.
No.
With a lot of my trainers, it was like, train until you can't feel yourself. Go.
And what does that do?
Gain, right?
Yeah. What does that actually do for you? What happens when you can't sleep because you're in so much pain, or you work more? You deprive yourself.
Yeah. Well, and really, what you're doing is you're kind of low key tearing your muscles, right?
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes.
And then you're rebuilding them, and you're tearing them, and you're rebuilding them, and you're tearing them. But in order to rebuild, you got to heal, right?
That's right.
Anyway, oh my God, we like really went off.
We did.
The deep end there.
That's how we do, though. That's sort of a thing we do.
How we are, yeah. We do this all the time. If it's just the two of us, we end up. Well, actually, not even. We talk like this anywhere. But this is part of the reason that Jay and I have decided to start doing some collaborations together, because we've got a lot that we would like to share. So I'm actually going to call it there for today, you guys. We are dealing with a lot over here, as you've heard. And I want to keep it, we want to get our beauty sleep, as we just talked about. Sleep is so important. So especially when you're going through so much. So, Michael says, like, how good of quality was the Tupperware? It's a valid question.
Definitely.
What's the quality of people you hang out with? One might ask. Tylenol Jones says, shocking. But, I think it's really cool talking over this stuff with you, because you bring a real element to it. There's that authenticity and just realness that comes from you. And that's not common. I don't feel like that's very common. Yeah. And so it's pretty cool when we get to have it. So I'm really looking forward to doing this.
Yay! Me too.
We can finish each other's thoughts and stuff. you so much for watching. Thank you for my patrons for my support. I need to go to bed. See, for all of your support and all my viewers. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thank you, Jay.